As far as what?
About his views of, just about his way he talks about other human beings, much less race.
But if that's the way if he was that type of a person, first of all, I became friends with this guy, never even imagining that he would be the president of the United States someday.
Right.
And if he was that type of person, I would never associate with that type of a person, no matter who he was.
Stop scrolling right now. Dana White just sat down with the mainstream media and completely broke their brains. The reporter tried to corner him on Donald Trump, and Dana absolutely refused to back down. This is the definition of loyalty.
Or any of that. I don't ever say the left is wrong or the left is bad or the left is this. I spoke about who he is as a person and as a friend and as a human being, because a lot of the narrative that they put out there about him and who he is as a person is gross.
But doesn't he
absolutely positively not true.
Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to say that if he has that reputation, it doesn't come from outer space.
Oh, it does. It comes from politics. That's where it comes from.
But doesn't it come from some of his rhetoric and some of his way of treating people and talking about people? And
no, I think that, listen, did I wish that back in the day he'd stay off Twitter a little bit more and things like, listen, he's a tough guy and he's not afraid to give his opinion. But
wait, did you actually see the absolute panic on the interviewer's face? They desperately want Dana White to condemn his friend, using every mainstream talking point available. But Dana completely flips the script. He points out that the public narrative about Trump being this horrible, unapproachable person is totally manufactured by politics. Notice how calm and composed Dana is while the reporter stammers, trying to push the rhetoric angle. Dana acknowledges Trump is a tough guy who speaks his mind, but refuses to let the media paint him as a monster. This is a masterclass in how to handle a hostile interview. You don't apologize, you don't back down, and you don't accept their incredibly biased framing. People are absolutely starving for this kind of unfiltered authenticity. When the media realizes their standard shame tactics don't work, their entire operational playbook just collapses on camera.
Who's voting for me? The only people that aren't are the socialists, the lunatics, and the communists. But any normal functioning brain that doesn't want to step in human poop when they get their matcha is voting for me, which is a lot of people. I'm not political. I never wanted to be a politician. I actually hate politicians. Politicians are the reason my house burned down, my parents' house burned down.
You drive around the streets of Los Angeles,
Listen to exactly what he is saying right here. Spencer Pratt is literally bypassing every single political consultant and just speaking directly to the working class of Los Angeles. Any normal functioning brain that doesn't want to step in human poop is voting for me. It is incredibly blunt, highly controversial, and it is working flawlessly. Look at how he perfectly distances himself from traditional politicians, explicitly stating that he hates them and blames them for his parents' house burning down. This isn't a polished campaign pitch. This is the raw, visceral anger of an everyday citizen who is completely exhausted by bureaucratic failure. He is demanding total financial transparency from the city's nonprofits. The establishment is terrified because they cannot debate this logic. How do you argue against someone who is just pointing out the obvious decay in the streets and demanding accountability? You can't.
That the people we actually want with solutions actually engage with it. He is climbing in polls because he's like, you know what, I'm going to go find people where we are. You know who else did that? Barack Obama. He was able to crack a nut and do things and meet voters in a different way.
He was a constitutional lawyer, not
I'm sorry.
Look at the absolute civil war happening on this panel. The progressive elites are literally melting down on live television because they cannot comprehend why their Ivy League degrees and polished resumes aren't working anymore. The commentator admits that Pratt is climbing in the polls because he actually meets the voters where they are, on social media, using viral memes. But the other panelist immediately cuts her off, absolutely furious at the comparison. This exposes the massive, glaring disconnect in modern politics. The establishment genuinely believes that having advanced degrees and fancy titles entitles them to run the city, regardless of their actual results. But the voters do not care about your resume if the streets are a complete disaster. They care about action. And right now, the political machine is watching a reality TV star master the internet algorithm and completely dismantle their multi-million-dollar campaign strategies.
A candidate is doing, especially a candidate who's not running as a hardcore Democrat in Los Angeles. Look at these numbers. He's raising $2.72 million. Karen Bass, the sitting incumbent, only...
Did you catch those massive fundraising numbers? The anchor is legitimately stunned. A reality star running as an outsider has just raised $2.7 million in the primary, absolutely crushing the sitting mayor Karen Bass, who only pulled in a measly $283,000. That is almost a 10-to-1 financial blowout. This isn't just a slight polling bump. This is a massive financial earthquake. People only donate their hard-earned money when they are absolutely desperate for a massive change. The sheer volume of cash flowing into Pratt's campaign proves that the tax-paying citizens and business owners of Los Angeles have completely abandoned the current administration. The anchor actually admits that Pratt is succeeding because the current leadership is doing so terribly. When the political establishment fails on basic common-sense issues like safety and cleanliness, the voters will gladly fund an outsider just to burn the corrupt system to the ground.
This is the root of the Donald Trump playbook. You go, you complain about a lot of different things, but there's no solutions.
But don't you
go
think
on
he's
Spencer Pratt's
complaining about real
website.
things?
Excuse me. When you go and you look at Spencer Pratt's website, there's no policy. There's no policy. There's no solutions. All he does is talk about issues. There's no real substance. Anybody can say, "I'm going to solve." Wait a second.
Policy?
His policy is, "I'm going to fix homelessness." That's not.
Watch the aggressive strategy they are trying to deploy here. They repeat the phrase, "he has no policy," over and over again, hoping the audience will just blindly believe it. This is the classic establishment playbook. When you cannot actually defend your own terrible track record, you just try to delegitimize the challenger. They claim saying, "I'm going to fix homelessness," isn't a real policy. But here is the ironic reality. The current politicians have hundreds of pages of complex policies, and the homelessness crisis has only gotten significantly worse. Voters are tired of reading endless bureaucratic white papers that lead to absolutely zero real-world results. When Pratt says he's going to enforce the law and stop funding broken nonprofits, that is a policy. The elites just refuse to accept it because it completely threatens their multi-million-dollar consulting ecosystem.
President Vance just arriving at the White House. What more can you tell us about that meeting?
Yeah, Brett, there's a lot of details swirling around right now, but here is what we do know. Speaking with White House officials, they say that inside the Oval Office right now, President Trump is meeting with top aides and allies about potentially resuming military action in the ongoing conflict with the...
Notice the specific urgency in this live report. The president, the vice president, and top military aides are locked inside the Oval Office over Memorial Day weekend, directly discussing the resumption of military action against Iran. This isn't just standard political posturing. This is maximum geopolitical pressure. The media reporter is scrambling to confirm details because the administration is playing an incredibly aggressive game of high-stakes leverage. They are cornering the Iranian regime financially and militarily, forcing them to the negotiation table regarding the Strait of Hormuz. The sheer unpredictability is exactly the point. Unlike previous administrations that telegraphed every single move months in advance, this strategy keeps the adversaries completely off balance. The threat of immediate, overwhelming military action is being used as the ultimate diplomatic bargaining chip, and the establishment media simply cannot keep up with the pace. The political elites are losing control of the narrative faster than ever. Hit subscribe, drop a comment below on who you think is winning, and I'll see you next time.